Good evening and welcome to all of our class of 2020 graduates, family and friends, staff, and guests. I'm honored to join all of you for this occasion and want to thank you for being with us this afternoon. This is an exciting day as we celebrate our culmination of 13 years of education for our graduates. The noted Greek philosopher Aristotle spoke eloquently about many topics, including logic, poetry, biology, economics, and music, which sounds like a typical day at Milton High School. I'd like to share a few of my favorite quotes from Aristotle, which are just as pertinent now as they were 2,400 years ago. Aristotle said, "The fate of empires depend on the education of youth." This speaks to the great importance of education, not just for the individual, but for our society as a whole. Your education will provide a source of strength for you throughout your life, and your education also enriches us as a community. Throughout your lives, use your knowledge and skills, including the adaptability and perseverance that you used throughout this year, to make your communities a better place. The second quote that I want to share with you is one that we hear often. Until recently, I didn't realize that it was from Aristotle. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Throughout my first year as your superintendent, I've seen this group of graduates do many incredible things together, performing on stages, excelling on ball fields, courts, tracks, and in pools, and demonstrating brilliance in classrooms. None of these things could have been achieved without the synergy of being part of a large group, which includes yourselves, your classmates, your parents and families, teachers and staff, coaches, administrators, and school board members. This group has played a key role in ensuring that the Milton High School class of 2020 is greater than the sum of its parts. The final quote from Aristotle that I want to highlight is simply this: "Choice, not chance, determines your destiny." Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. You're here celebrating this great achievement and about to leap into the rest of your life because of the positive choices and decisions that you've made. Although there are some things that are out of your control, the ability to achieve your dreams is within each of you. Make the choices that determine your destiny. In closing, I want to express my deepest thanks to parents and families for everything that you do to support our graduates, and to all staff members whose talents and efforts are greatly appreciated. I'm constantly impressed by the work of the staff at Milton High School and throughout the school district of Milton. Graduates, please remember to show your appreciation for the support that's been provided by these groups. And finally, graduates, congratulations on your special achievement. Your drive and dedication will take you far in life. Take the things that you've learned throughout your years, from graduation through your senior year, and use them to live your dreams. Make choices that enrich your lives and the lives of those around you. Congratulations and best of luck to all of you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the graduation ceremony for Milton High School Class of 2020. Today, we continue an age-old tradition and honor our 100th graduating class amid a global crisis. Graduation is a special moment for everyone. For parents, it is reassurance that yes, you did a fantastic job raising your son or daughter. You should be proud. For students, it is comfort in receiving closure and having the ability to govern their lives moving forward in their life. Graduation, to me, is the gentle but very real shove into adulthood. This shove is a journey we would normally embark on together as a community, but sadly, for the first time ever, we will have to make arguably the hardest transition in our lives alone. While it is unfortunate that we cannot be together today, nothing, not even a pandemic, will ever undermine the accomplishments that we are being honored for today, as well as the great things that we will accomplish in the future. And how fitting is it that our ceremony at Milton's 100th is being held under the most bizarre and unprecedented circumstances? And how fitting is it that 100 years ago, Milton's first graduating class was recovering from a similar situation to our own, the Spanish flu. One thing is for certain, we will truly remember these past few months and the moments to follow for the rest of our lives. This period in human history will not only affect the decisions that we make for ourselves moving forward, but will drastically alter our world for generations to come. As our situation grows more unpredictable with every passing day, please understand that every adversity brings with it opportunity. An opportunity to be kind, an opportunity for personal growth. These diplomas will provide an endless amount of opportunities for our future. It is what we make of it. It is all up to us. How will we use these pieces of paper? And more importantly, how will we use these past few months, as well as our 4 years here at MHS, to create a better future for ourselves and others? This is the important question that we should be asking ourselves. After shelter-in-place orders are lifted, after a return to normalcy is achieved, then what? The world does not stop for those that choose to dwell in the past. It simply marches forward. So I charge us, the class of 2020, to be the ones to use this misfortune as an opportunity to truly change the world for the better. Now, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has had a part in making this virtual ceremony possible. Thank you for doing everything in your power to give us the closest thing to a traditional graduation. I would also like to recognize the hard work of staff and students who've had to adapt to the constantly changing state of the world around us. I truly appreciate you all and am proud to call myself a member of the class of 2020. And now, for our next speaker. This person has been working around the clock and doing a very successful job of making sense of a situation that no one in his position has ever had to deal with. He truly has a passion for bettering this school and its students to an immeasurable degree. It is my great honor to introduce MHS Principal Jeremy Horne.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Jacob Snow was the president of the senior class, and he has done an outstanding job with his duties this year and working to lead his class at Milton High School and student council. Jacob was an active member of Milton High School show choir, soccer, and hockey teams. Next fall, he'll be attending UW-Madison. Before we get started today, I'd like to extend my thanks to those who made this event happen. This has obviously been a really, really unique year, and there are a large group of people who work together to create our virtual ceremony. My thanks goes out to high school the administrative assistant team, the administrative team, senior class advisor Gene Hergert, the high school and district building and grounds teams, the high school administrative assistants Jennifer Williams and Joanne Jenner. Special thanks goes out to MHS teachers Sarah Brechtel and Tim Hall, our Red Hawk media advisor, for their long hours of work putting together all the parts of our ceremony today. I also like to thank Gene Hergert and Brian Hamill, our activities director. Both Ms. Hergert, the senior class advisor, Mr. Hamill will be retiring at the end of this year. Mr. Hamill and Ms. Hergert and I put together a lot of graduation ceremonies, and we really had a unique one this year. And now, as a long-standing custom here at Milton High School at our graduation ceremonies, we'd like to recognize our exchange students who shared this year with us here at Milton High School. Our first exchange student was Heis Jansen from the Netherlands, who was hosted by the Pember family. Upon arriving in August, Heis joined the cross-country team right away and became a major hit. He quickly became part of the MHS community. Sadly, his stay was cut short and went home in March. This fall, he'll be attending university in Amsterdam and will be majoring in mathematics. Our second exchange student was Ariana Bucchini from Italy. She was hosted by the Newell family. Ariana not was only fun and personal, but she brought a high degree of intellect to the classroom. She got straight A's in some of our most difficult and challenging courses here at Milton High School. As a result of her upbeat personality, Ariana made many, many friends here at MHS and will be missed. She also had to return to Italy in March. I'm happy to report that she's doing well and is healthy. Ariana's future plan is to apply to universities in Rome or Florence. Her dream and career goal is to be someday to be a cardiac surgeon. And our third exchange student this year was Humana Saurez de Santana. She's our exchange student from Brazil. Humana joined us at the beginning of the second semester, and while she only stayed here was only here for about 2 months, she became a really big part of the school community and very active. We're going to miss her. She will be returning in June, and she was actually stayed with the Krenz family. Humana will be attending college next year and hopes to someday to be a judge. For all our exchange students, thank you very much. We thank you for how much you enriched our community, and we wish you the well in your future. Next, I'd like to introduce our first of our 2 honor grads, Matthew Klinger. Matthew is a very active student and who is a member of the coding competition team and is also active in band. Matt will be attending UW-Milwaukee in the fall. Matthew?
Congratulations, everyone. We've finally made it, after 13 long years of hard work. Throughout our time in school, we've had lots of fun and made many great memories, even though that usually came at the cost of unfinished homework. Even though these times we look back on them fondly, they were not always trouble-free. We all suffered from family losses, mental health issues, drama, and lots of homework. However, even after going through all this, we're still here today. We have persevered through so much, and in the process, we've grown just as much. Today, I'd like you all to thank your families, teachers, friends, and anyone else who helped you get through school. I know I wouldn't be here today without the help of many people. Even though most of us are excited to get out into the real world on our own, the challenges we faced won't end here today. We will be faced with many more trials and tribulations as we continue forward with our lives. But we got through high school, so we're pretty much ready for anything. It's important to remember that we've made it this far partly out of our own skill and perseverance, but also by the time and efforts people have committed to helping us get through school. In order to give back this kindness and time that we've received, we must make sure that we help others persevere, whether that person is struggling through a family member passing away or just a really hard class. If you give your time and be present, that can make all the difference. If we keep the thought of helping others in our hearts and minds, then I know every single one of us will leave our mark on the world, and for the better. We're going through a rough time right now, and it seems like we're barely hanging in there, but we will overcome this if we just stick with it and have hope like we have for these past 13 years. Thank you all, and once again, congratulations. Now I'd like to introduce the choirs under the direction of Mr. Meinertz and Mr. Wenland.
Grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be, and if I'd end up happy, I would pray. Trying hard to reach out, and when I tried to speak out, felt like no one could hear me. Wanted to belong here, but something felt so wrong here. I would pray, I could break away. I'll cut these strings and I'll work my do what it takes till I get the chance, and I'll make a wish, take a risk, make a change, and break away. Wanna feel the warm breeze, sleep under a palm tree, feel the rush of the ocean, get on board a fast train, or travel on a jet plane far away, and break away. Out of the darkness and into the sun, but I won't forget the place I come from. Gotta make a wish, wishing a risk, risking change, and break away.
go. For the lovers and the broken hearted, take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful. Wanna feel like the light in the dark place, another color in the world of black and white.
Wanna try to make the world in a new way.
That's home with a dream and a suitcase. Work hard, play hard, you don't have to grow up. Hide and seek, promise me, we don't have to grow up. Another mirror saying why so serious. Another warning along line.
Don't let growing up get between us.
Gotta let a little color back into your eyes. Work hard, play hard, you don't have to grow up. Hide and seek, promise me, we don't have to grow up. Hey, I'm just getting started. Take your fears and let them go. For the lovers and the broken hearted, take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.
Next, I'd like to introduce our second honor grad who will be speaking this afternoon to share a few words with us, Blake Riggs. Blake will be attending UW-Madison this next fall.
Good morning, class of 2020, and anyone else watching this recording. It is an understatement to say that this graduation ceremony is an interesting one. On one hand, I'm disappointed that there is no way for us to all be together for one of the most important moments of our lives. But on the other hand, I'm kind of relieved that I don't have to speak in front of a couple of thousand people. With how unorthodox his speech is already, I thought there's no reason why I could extend the boldness by taking you around the schools while I speak. This way we can both reminisce together. A couple of months before school kicked us out, the average student in our class seemed to just want to get out of there and not look back. As time went on, all of my friends, myself included, missed high school and were upset that we never got our final semester as a senior. While this early departure has brought us to satisfaction and heartbreak, it has also brought us the luxury of knowing what we took for granted. We should not take this as a tragedy, but rather as a message to look at how important the role school had in changing our lives. Imagine yourself in 2009. You're in your second grade class listening to Fire Burning on your brother's iPod that you borrowed without permission. The only thought in your mind is when the bell will ring for recess, you can go play tetherball, or go on the swings with your friends, or eat wood chips. I don't really know what second graders did. You spend your years here focusing on having fun while subconsciously you develop your personality. I myself was always trying to start trends, like this one time where I had a hole in my shoe from being worn out, and I acted like it was the coolest thing. And then after that, some of the kids in my class started to wear out their shoes and get holes in them, and one even got in trouble with his mom for trying to poke a hole in his shoe with a butter knife. Yeah, I was a tiny hipster. Leaving your family to learn was one of the toughest obstacles we overcame. In the first day of my kindergarten class, almost everyone was crying. But this was not to break us down. This is to help us grow our independence and force us to find friends that would eventually help us with our goals and hardships. Oh, by the way, West will always be the best, East is not the beast, and Harmony and Consolidated, you don't rhyme with anything, so you're not in this equation. We go on the north side, where homework is getting slightly harder and school activities are getting slightly more abundant. You spend your time wondering why you have to walk in lines everywhere and waiting until you're in 6th grade so you can participate in market day. Little flex, I had the most money at the end of it. I was one of the guys who made the cool marshmallow shooters. You guys remember Foursquare? It was like a big thing for like a month and then it just died. I don't really know about it. Now you're in 2014, listening to Lifestyle while you figure out how to do math on an iPad. I don't know about you guys, but middle school was not even as close to bad as is portrayed in movies. I mean, we had rec nights where boys played basketball and girls talked. We had dances where boys jumped around and girls talked. And we had the one picnic thing where boys ate and girls talked. There was Six Flags for 8th graders, Mount Olympus for student council members, and not to mention the big class elections that started heated debates in classrooms. It sort of felt like a gray area to me, where my scholarly interests weren't found, but my extracurricular interests were. because of the new friends I was making. This is around the time I met Ryder Radke, who, as all of you know, would never stop talking about YouTube. But I was interested as well. We weren't doing homework or going to practices or watching Vines or flipping water bottles. We were working on growing his or my YouTube channel. I never once wanted to work with YouTube, but because of the friends I made through school, my interest changed. Finally, we get to what I think is the most important school, high school. I know you're all getting tired of this chick, but I'm going to say it anyway. You are now in 9th grade. It's 2016, and you're listening to Black Beatles while your class attempts to do the mannequin challenge mid-dab. Here's where you start to find your scholarly interest and your toughest shortcomings. You may start to have a hard time in class, or not make a team sport, or lose to Wanakee in a football game because of bad refs. When students think of their disdain towards high school, they think about the hardships like these, but not the effects of them. Sure, you may have a harder time in class or sport, but you can ask help from your teachers, coaches, and other students and make a bond with them because of it. These hardships also boosted your dedication towards your interests and goals by forcing you to work harder. While we mostly remember inhaling large amounts of baby powder at football games or dressing up to go to dances, the moments where high school pushed us are the most important. I want you to all leave this virtual ceremony knowing that the moments that you feel the most overloaded and down are the moments that will bring the best out in you. Think about this as you continue on out of high school and never forget what your school district did for you.
Your little hands wrapped around my finger, and it's so quiet in the world tonight. Your little eyelids flutter 'cause you're dreaming, so I tuck you in, turn on your favorite night light. To you, everything's funny. You've got nothing to regret. I'd give all I have, honey, if you could stay like that. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. It could stay this simple. I won't let nobody hurt you. Won't let no one break your heart. And no one will desert you. Just try to never grow up. Never grow up. You're in the car on the way to the movies, and you're mortified your mom's dropping you off. At 14, there's just so much you can't do, and you can't wait to move out someday and call your own shots. But don't make her drop you off around the block. Remember that she's getting older too, and don't lose the way that you dance around in your PJs getting ready for school. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. You could stay this simple. And no one's ever burned you. Nothing's ever left you scarred. And even though you want to, just try to never grow up. Take pictures in your mind of your childhood room. Memorize what it sounded like when your dad gets home. Remember the footsteps, remember the words said, and all your little brother's favorite songs. I just realized everything I have is someday gonna be gone. So here I am in a new apartment in a big city. They just dropped me off. It's so much colder than I thought it would be, so I tuck myself in and turn the nightlight on. Wish wish I'd never grown up. I wish I'd never grown up. Oh, I don't wanna grow up. Wish I'd never grown up. Could still be little. Oh, I don't wanna grow up. Wish I'd never grown up. It could stay this simple. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. Just stay this little. Oh, darling, don't you ever grow up. Don't you ever grow up. It could stay this simple. I won't let nobody hurt you. Won't let no one break your heart. And even though you want to, please try to never grow up. Oh, 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 oh. Don't you ever grow up. Oh, 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 oh. Just to never grow up.
Hello, fellow Redhawks. My name is Joe Martin from the School District of Milton Board of Education, and it is my privilege to be part of the video celebration of your graduation as the 100th class from Milton High School. While I would prefer to hand you your diplomas in the customary way, this will suffice until hopefully we can gather in person to recognize and celebrate you. Your friends and family are understandably proud of you and your accomplishments, as are your teachers and administrators. I will let you know that the school district and the community we represent are equally proud. Whether your life path takes you away from Milton or not, we hope you can look fondly on this part of your journey and feel the pride we all do in being a Redhawk. As you meet the challenges you encounter in life, whether your success is measured in achievements or simply being a good friend and neighbor, show the world the Redhawk way. Once again, congratulations and best of luck to you, the class of 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce, and thank you, Ben. Graduates, now it's the time when I get to share a few final brief thoughts with the graduates. For those who have watched our commencement ceremonies in the past, I like to give the graduates one last final lesson before they leave Milton High School. This year, because you guys have missed so much class, I'm going to actually give two brief lessons before you guys leave. One from history and one from biology. The first one from history. As Mr. Martin just mentioned, you may know that the class of 2020 is the 100th graduating class from Milton High School. In 1920-21, the two separate high schools from Milton on the east side, Milton Junction on the west, came together to combine into Milton Union High School. They faced the challenge of bringing two separate buildings together into one common school. It was not always easy, but they formed the beginnings of what has become one incredible community. And while the Union portion of the name was dropped, you represent the 100th time students have graduated from this unified single high school. And what a year you guys have picked for that. A lot has changed in the last century. To prepare for this, I read through 100 years of yearbooks. All the pictures that I'm showing came from MHS student work in those yearbooks. The old history teacher nerd in me really came out. And the more I studied about MHS, the more I learned what an amazing school you guys are graduating from. The original 1920 high school stood where the current middle school is. The only thing that's left is actually the gym. When they came together, there were just over 100 students attending Milton Union High School. Today, you guys are graduating from a school of over 1,100 students. I read some of the papers from the school. Was actually, they built it in the summer. It wasn't ready yet, so they didn't start school to the end of October. And they were able to get a couple football games in that very first fall. And reading in the papers, the writers dubbed all the new student section the Unionites, and that name stuck. It was actually the very first nickname for Milton High School, were the Unionites. It stuck for decades. They eventually would move into a new building. In 1966, the current building was built, and it's had several additions, some pretty big ones happening right now. Looking through the first years of Milton Union High School, there was not a lot of selection in classes compared to the hundreds that you have today. You literally took history, English, writing, math, and maybe some vocational courses. If you wanted to do sports, it's only for the guys, and that's if you liked football, basketball, and baseball. But as you look through the yearbook pictures over the years, you really begin to see the story of your high school and how the community that you are graduating from really started to take place. For example, Ag education, the FFA has always been a big part of Milton High School, with the FFA being actually in existence for over 90 years. From the stock judging teams of the 1920s to the FFA team that last year went all the way to Scotland for a dairy judging competition, ag really has mattered here in Milton. Music, likewise, has been a significant part of student life. From the earliest student bands in the 1920s to the introduction of show choir in the 1990s to the multiple choirs and the competitive marching band that we have today, including the class of 2020, which led the band to a second place finish at the Wisconsin State Marching Competition this year. The number of athletic opportunities has also increased over the years as well, with Milton teams garnering support from the entire community. From the very beginning to the addition of girls' sports, to the expansion of now dozens of different athletic opportunities, the class of 2020 not only built off of traditions, but they forged some new ones of their own this year. But the strongest theme over the last 100 years is the camaraderie and friends coming and learning together. The spirit of Milton throughout the decades from the 1920s to the 2020s continues to be as strong as ever with this graduating class. I've heard it said that there are just some things different about our school, and it often comes from teachers who have taught at other high schools who come here. They say that the spirit of this school and the alumni is just contagious. Class of 2020, you are leaving behind a great community. But I challenge you to take that spirit as you move forward into the next chapter of your life. Invest in your future communities as much as you invested in Milton High School. And that leaves us with your second lesson, this one coming from biology. I think as your experiences the last few months, I think a lot about what you guys have gone through and what our school has gone through. It's not been the kind of senior year many of you had envisioned. And with missing many opportunities and you were looking forward to in your last few months at MHS. Part of the reason that it's been so discouraging is because the class of 2020 was so invested in Milton High School. But here's where I'll use the analogy from biology. This last summer, my family and I had an opportunity. We took a trip to the Sequoia National Forest in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. Now, I've never been to the California and before, and certainly had never seen trees that are as big as these. Some of the largest living things on Earth, some of which are 1,000 years old or older. Equally amazing is that when you see the seeds of the sequoia, when you have them in the palm of your hand, they're literally the size of oatmeal flakes. One of the things that I noticed about the trees right away on the big ones were the blackened marks around the bottoms from the various forest fires throughout the millennium. I had a chance to speak with one of the forest rangers, and she explained to me that in the 1950s, there was a fear that the forest fires would destroy these national treasures one day. So significant fire prevention measures were put into place in and around the parks. However, they realized a strong correlation with their measures, and that is the fact that by the time they started the fire prevention methods, they realized that there's a sharp decrease in the number of sequoia seedlings in the groves. For 30 years, while there were no major fires, there was also a sharp decrease in the future generations of the trees. It's then when they realized that the cones on the sequoias wouldn't open up and drop their seeds until the fires came. It was only after they dropped those seeds and the conditions of the soil after the fires that were needed, that's what was needed in order for the seeds to germinate. Those burned scars, although painful to look at, were marks of the trials that made the entire tree groves healthy and stronger for thousands of years to come. Now, it may be a stretch to call the last few months to say that we have scars left, but many of you certainly have had challenges, and some of you more disappointments than others. However, I do challenge you today to think about how you can use this experience to grow and how you can make yourself better in the future. Perhaps the last 2 months, there's been an opportunity for you to learn from things that you otherwise would have never had an opportunity to learn. For example, many of you learned to learn in a new way, a virtual way. That's a skill actually you're going to need. For many of you, you've had an opportunity to sit and talk with people. You've had time to actually talk with loved ones and family, time that you might otherwise not have had. That's going to make you stronger someday. And for many of you, you have a deeper appreciation for those who are working on the front lines. Certainly that perspective will make you stronger community members for the rest of your life. As the 100th graduating class from MHS, use this time as a reflection. Over the years, our graduates have faced many things, from the Spanish flu to 2 world wars, a Great Depression, and now COVID-19. The spirit of our graduates has persevered, and you will too. Finally, as we're about to virtually hand you that diploma that officially starts you off on that path, let me state that on behalf of the staff and the faculty and administration of Milton High School and the School District of Milton, that we are very proud of you and all the things you've accomplished, the people who you are, and the people you're about to come. You are a group of uniquely gifted individuals who are going to be excellent Milton alumni. We wish you the best of luck. Congratulations. And now the part that most of you have been waiting for, and that is the presentation of the diplomas. Now, I've got to say, this has been the most unique diploma ceremonies that we've ever had. Usually, I really look forward to shaking everybody's hands as they come across the stage. But let me say, it was such a joy to get to see almost all the graduates this year between going to your homes or coming to school for your individual diploma ceremonies. It's been a really pleasure to be part of. And with that, please enjoy the diploma disbursement for the class of 2020.
Kaylin Joy Algram Bender, Alexa Diane Alvazar, Robert James Ames, Ariana Evelyn Anderson, Shay Riley Anderson, Adora Grace Aston, Maverick Atwood, Adam A. Aurett, Thomas Michael James Barrett, Josephine L. Bianco Fiore, Trevor Michael Bierman, Claudia K. Bills, Abby Grace Bills, Isabella Catherine Marianne Blank, Benjamin Markley Blazer, Zoe S. Bloomer, Jordan Tyler Bodner, Carissa Deborah Ann Betcher, Lydia Marie Borman, Grace Brianna Bolden, Angelina Isabella Borchard, Jordan Thomas Borgerdine, Ethan David Buska, Kyle Wayne Bright, Lane Allison Buckland, Booker Burden, Abigail K. Burke, Caroline Marie Berkey, Evan Joseph Burnside, Bennett J. Buswell, Acacia Elizabeth Cadd, Alexandra Irene Campbell, Marissa Suzanne Aaron Campbell, Abigail Laura Campion, Carly Nicole Chapin, Sabrina Chen, Jalen G. Child, Christina Choi, Gabriel Lucas Christensen, Marissa Bella Cisneros, Cody Clark, Drew Michael Cleaton, Logan James Conway, Hunter Jacob Copleen, Mariah Elizabeth Carell, Danielle Jessica Kramer, Joseph Thomas Crofts, Ethan Albert Dillander, Sophie Christine Dimitruk, Desiree Joe Renee Dorsey, Aaron Daniel Dull, Jordan Joel Dutcher, Shayla Nicole Etter, Jonah Lyle Enke, Abby Rose Falk, Emily Rose Faulkner, Braden Fenrick, Amanda Lee Ferguson, Thomas Gunnar Flick Lohmeyer, Alyssa Ann Furstenberg, Chloe Margaret Garber, Hannah Ray Garber, Kayla Nicole Gonzarowski, Claire Granzi, Ashley Lynn Green, Lily Asia Gritzmaker, Tate Alexander Grogan, Luke Michael Grody, Noah David Grittenholm, Sydney Margaret Hazy, Ethan Henry Hafner, Seth Jacob Haldeman, Carson John Henning, Jordan Michael Hergert, Schuyler Michael Hernandez, Eric Hernandez Reyes, Jared Michael David Heth, Eli David Hillman, Wyatt Lane Hilton, Peyton Rose Holcomb, Alyssa Grace Holmes, Trent Austin Holmes, Nicholas Joseph Huber, Christine Paula Hughes, Lucas Quinn Hughes, Joshua Andrew Hurley, Michael Hans Yagi, Riley Michael Yauk, Alexis Christine Johnson, Grace Johnson, Hannah Michelle Johnson, Megan Lorin Johnson, Jerry William Jones, Maudine Giuseppe, Peyton Leanne Call, Spencer R. Knabel, Tyler Jacob Kenyon, Kai Jonathan Curl, Mackenzie Ray Kirsten, Samuel Henry Keyser, Mauston Calvin Killian, Matthew Klinger, Cassie Leanne Cornelli, Presley Kovacevic, Ethan James Kruger, Cole Ashton Kuderna, Claire Lauren King, Dalton Cool, Caitlin Day Larson, Dalton James Lauer, Claire Elizabeth Liebachen, Emily Grace Liebachen, Tyler Robert Leith, Jackson Robert Lemerond, Sean Michael Leonard, Carter Macias Lopez, David Juan Lopez Aceves, Ryan Scott Lovell, Jordan James Ludeking McLean, Copen Allen Lupke, Carly Violet Lucas, Shelby Sterling MacHonald, Caden Matthew McCumber, Cole Andrew Markham, Danielle Martin, Derek Martin, Bradley Nicholas Martino, Bryce M. Maurer, Devontae James McAllister, Brady Michael McCardle, Garrett Jonathan McKay Sievert, Emma McNally, Morgan Lee Mendick, Allison Marie Miller, Cameron Ali Mirza, Cassidy Lynn Moe, Kaylee Marie Moore, Lucas Russell Mullen, Brianna Leticia Munoz, Joshua Searle Mussey, Dane Jeseritz Nelson, Sylvia K. Nettermeyer, Lawson Jack Neubauer, Cynthia Wynn, Stephen K.C. Nem, Adam Robert Niedermeyer, Matthew Kevin Nielsen, Caitlin Marie Northherden, Ren Patrick Lawrence O'Donnell, Natalie Elizabeth Olson, Brady John Olson, Risha Ray Orr, McKenna Osterhout, Laura Elizabeth Owens, Elizabeth K. Patrick, Nathaniel Allen Payton, Alexander William Pember, Hunter Pernot, Emily Francine Peterson, Annabelle K. Phillips, Lauren Elaine Pierce, Austin Edward Piper, Megan Corinne Price, Ryder James Radke, Ricardo Ramos III, Brody Stephen Reed, Dawson Michael Reed, Chloe Elizabeth Reth, Carter Isaiah Retzloff, Mia Cassandra Rice, Zoe Conahan Richard, Jessica Michelle Richtmeyer, Blake Tyler Riggs, Declan Aaron Riley, Patrick William Riley, Alexandra J. Rodenberg, Cooper Rosenbrook, Jenna May Rudolph, Logan Carl Rundy, Mara Ray Rhines, Cheyenne Josephine Salzman, Viola Angela Samara, Nathan David Samuelson, Neelam Sapavadia, Abigail Marie Sherwitz, Evan William Robert Shane, Gracie May Shane, Colin Jordan Schutz, Caleb Michael Schultz, Cameron Evan Scott, Claudia Caroline Seaman, Jacob Michael Shepard, Robert Hilton Simonson, Courtney Jolynn Sisson, Griffin Matthew Scogan, Alexia McKay Slagle, Travis Connor Smith, Jacob Forrest Snow, Ryder Charles Snow, Ben Sorgel, Dawson Wyatt Sorgel, Aiden Elizabeth Spaney, Eliza Brielle Spores, Cole Matthew Stalker, Brian David Steindl, Jordan Harold Stavarius, Dawson Nicholas Stoikes, Logan M. Stuckey, Miles Holden Stuckey, Faith Mariana Sturm, Amanda Nicole Sullivan, Jennifer Lynn Tan, Fletcher Scott Terrell. Michael John Terrell. Preston Robert Tybert. Connor James Tipioth. Joseph Thomas. Zachary Kenneth Thompson. Jacob Dawson Top. Brooke Marie Lynn Tracy. Ella Rose Tremmel. Amber Lynn Troe. Abigail Guadalupe Trujillo. Emma Ann Unger. Ethan Lucas Vance. Jacob John Van Horn. Trinity Nicole Velez. Timothy Everett Vidrick. Hannah Mae Warish. Courtney Joe Weberpaul. Jack Curtis Weberpaul. Jenna Maureen Weberpaul. Cameron D. Wagner. Hallie Mae Weiss. Adelissa Rosemarie Wells. Parker Elizabeth Ann Wilkinson. Joseph Todd Williams. Kira Elise Williams. Nicole Lydia Williams. Wyatt David Williams. Wyatt Paul Williams. Devin J. Wilson. Cole Michael Witt. Devin Otto Woodcock. David Matthew Worley. Ariana Michelle Wietrick. Victoria Lynn Worslin. Allie Joe Yecko. Charles Douglas York. Cole Alexander Zaglo. Jose Alfredo Zamudio Besserel.
Thank you once again for your patience and forbearance during this very, very unique time. Graduates, again, congratulations. We're going to miss you guys. We look forward to the time when we can join together as a single class at some point, hopefully soon, when we have that reunion that I talked about. Until then, good luck. Remember that you guys will always be a Red Hawk. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the class of 2020.